Happy Monday, guys. Hope everybody had a good start to the week. Unranked Podcast back again. You got myself here, Grant, and you also have.
Yeah, we got Elijah. Thanks for tuning back in. Yeah, like you said, we're just gonna try to jump in, recap some of the playoff games that we just had over the weekend, and try to go from there. Try to touch on a couple of different NBA topics.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we'll start probably. I mean, some would say probably the best game of the weekend, that Game 7, the Bucks and the Nets. KD was literally like a half inch from sending them home, and then getting a spot in the conference finals, but. I definitely saw a different side of KD. I feel like he was, probably the most aggressive KD I've ever seen, just kind of taking over, played a lot of minutes. I was definitely impressed by the performance. But yeah, that's your guy, so I'll let you kind of, go in what you thought about it.
Yeah, no, I mean I was thoroughly impressed. I mean we started out with what was that, Game 5 or 6 when he dropped 49. It started out with that, and then just to finish with a great game, but not get the victory. That was very, it was a big gut blow, especially when you consider how he was, like you said, if he wore a half a size smaller shoe, they would be in the conference finals right now. He wouldn't have had that worry about his legs dying in the overtime. They would have ended it in regulation. But I do give some props to the Nets or to the Bucks.
Yep.
They started hitting big shots. They changed up their game plan a little bit. They utilize Giannis differently. He was hitting free throws to a little more frequently. I mean, they needed every point. So if he would have hit his typical sub 50, around 50%, they would have messed around and lost that game. So,
Yeah.
tip my hat to them as well. But it was a big gut blow, just considering how well he did play, and just kind of leaving it all out there on the floor. I just feel like he was even getting himself in good spots on the floor in the overtime. His legs were dead. Every shot
Yep.
was, just a
Short.
little too short. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm like you. I mean, I give a lot of respect to the Bucks just because, I don't know, Giannis. I was kind of critical about Giannis last time we were chatting on here, and I feel like, I mean, as bad as he was shooting, as bad as he was shooting free throws, I mean, he just continued to be aggressive. I mean, he understands that team goes as he goes. So it was also impressive to see like Drew Holiday playing pretty bad, hit a big shot in overtime. Middleton didn't really shoot as well. He hit a big shot in overtime. You could just tell guys are just tired.
Right.
I mean, this is that time of year where, um, the rotation's getting cut down to like 5 to 7 guys. You
Yep.
got some guys not leaving the court. I mean, it's, at this point, it's like you got about a month left of the season, and you got to just have the best guys out there to get the job done.
Yeah, I agree. I think KD probably sat out all of 3 minutes the last three games. So I was just glad that he made it through. I was getting a little nervous when he was getting up above 50 minutes. 48 minutes in one game, 50 minutes in the next game on a person that you know, kind of, more or less still healing, still getting used to playing this way with his body, still getting used to, the hesitations or limitations that he might have with post injury. So I was just kind of glad, all in all, even though they didn't make it, that nothing too crazy happened with him playing that many minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I was, kind of thankful for that.
yeah,
I was kind of nervous a couple of those times.
yeah. And then I even say too, like giving a lot of props to Harden. He was out there on one leg. His first game back, he was kind of rusty, but I mean, I think he's able to score over 20, at least the last, game 6 and 7. And anybody that's had a, mess up hamstring or pulled a hamstring, that's something that you definitely got to take your time, like getting back, right. I know it took a lot for him to, try to make that comeback, but I think it is safe to say the Nets will probably be, if they can stay healthy, they'll probably be in the finals next year. So we definitely don't see them in this situation very soon.
Yeah. No, I agree. I
So,
agree. And, kind of take that to the other game from later on in that day, and that would be Game 1 of the Clippers and Suns.
yep.
No Chris Paul, but they still found a way to pull it out and get it done. They were kind of rolling, really. They look good. They look like a very well balanced team, pretty good depth. What you're talking about, teams only playing 6, 7 players. They don't do that. They go pretty deep into their rotations, and have a number of guys that can kind of get a spark for that team.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm pretty thoroughly impressed with how well they're doing. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was good performances on the other side from the Clippers as well, but they seem to just hit the shots when they needed them and kind of put it together.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Devin Booker is looking just like Kobe, man. I mean, his footwork, just that mid range. He's
Mm-hmm.
probably got the best shooter's role I've ever seen, like in the league. I mean, the shot just goes in there so soft. He probably got at least 2 or 3 shots that just dance around the rim, just fall in, just like he's just
So
real, yeah, just very surgical with it. I mean, I think he scored like 16 straight points. It was impressive to kind of see him go from like scorer to like point guard, and they didn't skip a beat. I mean, he ended up throwing like 11 assists, 13 rebounds. I mean, this was definitely like his, kind of like his coming out party. I mean, we've always known that. I said the playoffs really been kind of his coming out party. Like everybody kind of knows like really who he is now. He was never really on TV a ton when they weren't really good, because they weren't good. So they don't really, obviously they're gonna put teams on like the late games if they, 15, 20 games below 500. But I mean, we always knew that he was good, but I didn't think he had like this type of versatility in him. So that was very impressive to see. And Clippers, they literally played. I mean, their game ended at like 1 o'clock Eastern time, and they had to play like not even 48 hours later, all on top of traveling. So for them to put up the fight they did, that was very impressive.
agree, and being their best player down.
Yeah, Kawhi's down. Yep.
Yeah, so I do. I think Paul George, for as much slack as he gets, as far whether he's playoff P or not playoff P, and the joke around that, I think he has been stepping up.
Hmm.
He's been having multiple, string of good games,
Yeah.
offensively, playing good defense, getting rebounds. So he's been. I'm not going to entirely say that series is over, but I do like how well the Suns are moving, and it's going to take Paul George to do what he has been plus a few, a little more.
Yeah.
So in order for them to kind of string it together and make it happen.
Yeah.
See the DeMarcus Cousins sighting, that was good.
Yeah.
As soon as he came in the game, I started telling myself if he's going to play anywhere like this could be a series.
Yeah.
Uh, and
11 points in 12 minutes. Yeah, 5 fouls too. But
yeah, hey,
yeah, that's when he played his role. They
yeah,
needed them points. I mean, they was
I
down
agree.
like 4 with like 8 seconds left, and I mean, if he definitely made a great contribution, and I kind of forgot he was there,
Agreed.
honestly. So
It was good just to see a sighting of him, and hopefully he
yeah,
gets healthy, and if he can stay out of foul trouble and put together, uh, you know, production like that, then they're going to make a series out of this, and we'll see what how well that plays out.
right,
So yeah, and then
yeah,
I would say transition that to another game from yesterday, another
that's it.
game 7.
Yeah,
Uh,
it might have been my favorite game of the weekend.
I,
Might have
I
been.
I would agree. I did miss a little bit of the first half just being on the road, but
Yeah,
I would say second half was phenomenal. I was
yeah.
went back and watched the highlights this morning for the first half, and yeah, no, it was a great game. I do like that the Hawks team. I been kind of a Trey Young fan a little bit since college, just seen him play, and
Hmm.
just to see him be able to kind of do the same thing he did in college here, Steph Curry Jr. type play is really it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I always tip my hat to guys who are literally 6 foot 170 out there, hanging with the trees, hanging with the big dogs, and
yeah,
getting it. So, poor first half, put it together in the second half, and the teams look solid, really.
yeah. They did. Yeah, and the Hawks, man. I mean, I love how they're just made up. Like, you got an all-star point guard. You got, a couple of solid wings, Bogdanovich and Herter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those guys are both 6'5", 6'6", and shoot the three ball, play defense. You got Collins. I mean, he's kind of like that hybrid. He can play the 5. He like a stretch 4, just real, can jump out the gym. And then Capella, I mean, he gets every rebound within like a 10-mile radius, damn near when he's under the rim. So that, and then people already don't even like realize like Gallinari and like Lou Will off the bench.
Yeah,
Like that is just, I mean, I'm thinking about,
firepower.
them years that Gallinari was playing with the Clippers and he was playing with OKC, and Lou Will's playing with the Clippers, and he played for Philly back in the day when they started kind of getting, a little bit somewhat relevant, had a couple of playoff runs when he was out there. I mean, these guys are just very well traveled, and they come off the bench and they know their role. I mean, they really kind of give that scoring punch. to the Atlanta that they needed it quite a few different times in the series. And yeah, Gallinari, I mean, he had like 16 last night. I mean, that you get 16 points from one player off your bench. Usually things don't usually go your way. When it comes down to the end of the game. But yeah, I'll also say too is kind of, I mean, slightly disappointing just to kind of see Ben Simmons kind of disappear from that series. I thought that I feel like if he was, a lot more aggressive and was able to score more, they probably would have been able to finish that off in like 5 or 6 games. But a lot went wrong. I mean, can't point the finger at one person. They also had Embiid out there on one leg, pretty much. Doc Rivers, he's kind of known for these types of collapses. But yeah, I just want to see what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, no, I would say I honestly do like Ben Simmons as a player. I do like his game. I think definitely can be used. He's an all-star type player. He's an all-star
Yeah,
player. So I would say he just cannot let this complete collapse happen. A complete, self-check. You're literally checking yourself. You're removing yourself from the game. You're removing the good basketball play as far as just going up when you need to. If you're going to get fouled, you're going to get fouled. But
yeah.
you can't be afraid to make a play. You're being too timid.
They're
Too
4 on 5 on
yeah,
offense.
exactly. And then that's all the time. But even when he's in transition or something, he's looking or the lane opens up, he'll pass it out a lot and do other things that, sometimes you just got to be a little selfish and go up there, or you got to be not afraid to shoot those free throws. So
Yeah,
I think something internally that you got to click out of that,
yeah,
and you can't self check. That's the worst thing you can do.
right. And yeah, no, I think it was just kind of crazy because it was just like a slow collapse. I mean, they were firing on all cylinders. I mean, they kind of dropped game one, won a couple in a row. He was playing pretty well to start off the series, I feel. Had a great series. I mean, defensively, I think he just kind of like I felt like he kind of forgot like, even if you go to the line and don't make both free throws, like you're putting somebody on their team in foul trouble.
Sure.
Like you might be able to take Capella off the floor for an extra 10, 12 minutes. If you just go into the rack, like you're an all-star, you're going to get those calls as long as you're going to the rack and you're not just dropping your shoulder on somebody. Like as long as you're being aggressive, like you're impacting the game some way, somehow.
Agreed. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
You can have a ripple effect on other ways, like you said, removing their best rim protector out of the game and
yeah,
situations like that. Um, and I would say when the defense is completely just not respecting him and slacking off well into the lane and leaving him open,
yeah,
even if everyone in the gym knows you're probably not going to hit it out of pure basketball knowledge and the situational, you have to take some of those shots.
yeah,
You have to make them respect you because you can get a long rebound from that. You got one of the best rebounders in the game and Embiid in the paint. There's lots of other things that can come from you just making the right basketball decision, and that would give you confidence to eventually hit more of them.
yeah,
I find it very hard to believe that he's that much worse of a shooter than, let's say, a Rondo or somebody like that who has times where he will go 0 for 10, 12, 15 in a row, and then he'll have that game where he goes 4 or 6. He'll go 5 or 7
yeah.
because I
That's a
mean,
great point.
he does that enough where you have to respect it. He
Yeah,
can't shoot for shit, but he does it enough that he's going to take that shot, which because it's the right play,
yep,
and because of that, he begins to hit a respectable percentage because it's the numbers, it's the odds of the whole thing. He's just not making the right play sometimes.
right. Yeah, no, absolutely. You hit it right on the head with that. I mean, yeah, that's a great point. Like he's not that far off from Rondo. I mean, Rondo really didn't get a shot until like 2, 3 years ago. Rondo was kind of dancing around the rim, just playing around the rim a lot like that when he was like, around Ben Simmons' age. Wasn't a great free throw shooter either. But no, you make a great point. I mean, I think it's just like if you open, man, like, why not take the shot? You know what I'm saying? Like you do all this practicing, summer round, like year round. It's like this is what you're practicing for. This is what you're preparing for, and it was just tough to see like that kind of get into his head to the point to where like he was just a liability on offense. I mean, like between that and them pulling him like around like 3 or 4 minutes left in the game or the quarter because of like Hackabin, like he lost out on a lot of valuable minutes in that series for sure.
Agreed. I would say all that is true, and he does deserve criticism, but I just find it a bit ridiculous, that amount of how some people will jump on and try to just
Oh,
demoralize a person. He's still an all-star, but he didn't make the all-star team this year probably, but he's still a multiple-time all-star, and he will be all-star in the future. He'll make all defensive teams, compete for defensive player of the year. So it's completely ridiculous to me that guys, fat ass motherfuckers just sitting around the couch smoking and drinking or sitting there saying this shit around people. Like, it's crazy. Like, there's a level of absurdity
yeah.
to it all. Yeah. So I would say, I've criticized players. I've talked junk about players, but
Oh, yeah.
I know that I, at my best day, am not as good as them as their worst day.
Right.
So it's any of those guys that make a shot at a professional team. So I can't,
Yeah.
and I understand the level of, effort and competitiveness and determination and pure athleticism and work ethic that it takes to get there. And I just think there's some things you can't say about people. And sometimes when people are just saying certain things like, he'll be on the Shanghai Dragon, like, you're just showing your level of, um, your lack of basketball knowledge by saying something like that about a guy who's going to come close to, a max deal or around a max deal in the future.
Already has one.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
people sound.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree too. I mean, I'm definitely rooting for him. Twitter's a crazy place. People got they got a lot of free time to sit around all day and just make memes and whatnot. And I try to make sure, like, I definitely feel like I'm critical of players, but I try to, like, make sure it's not like no borderline disrespect. It's just kind of, you've seen them be like this before in different situations, and then it's like, where's that energy now? You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen Ben Simmons, average 16, 18 a game. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into it too. Like, the system that Doc Rivers is running, like, he's not like the primary point guard anymore. Like, it's the other guys kind of bringing the ball up. I mean, it's just kind of a different situation to where, you know, like, he's probably just kind of trying to do the best he can. And sometimes too, when that confidence get a little low, I mean, it just kind of like a snowball effect. And I just hope that he's able to, come out, hope he might be knowing a lot of these guys probably was in the gym today, just trying to get the shots up and just get better. And I'm rooting for him. And sounding like they might be trying to move off of him potentially. I did see something about maybe a CJ McCollum, Ben Simmons trade happening. I think that'll benefit both teams, but we'll see. All in due time. I definitely rooting for him though. He is one of my favorite young players out right now. So.
I agree. And just recap on that: if you get him around a bunch of shooters, it eliminates the reason for him to have to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
If you get him around a Dame Lillard, if you get him with somebody like the Warriors, where they're just loaded with shooters.
Play a Draymond Green role.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. We play. You take the best offensive player off the court, and you're the kind of the machine that makes it all work on offense.
Yep.
And Draymond gets drugged through the mud too for no reason.
Yeah, so I don't understand the Draymond. Three-time champion. It don't make no sense.
No. So
yeah. I always go to bat for Draymond. Like, yeah, he's, especially being, from Michigan too. Like, he.
I mean, you have too. We literally been watching the dude play in Saginaw High. I mean, so you can't.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that kind of goes into our next topic here. Talking about, a lot of kids, how they don't have the one and done rule anymore. Or excuse me, they do have the one and done rule that is blocking kids from coming out of high school to going straight to the NBA. And you made a good point to me. Like, I didn't even know, as far as just like, I guess I didn't put two and two together. Like, the G League is another avenue to potentially, get to the league early, but you're still like stopping that kid from getting potentially being a top 5 pick in that next draft, where he'd be making 5 to 10 million rather than making, like, I don't know what they give him, maybe like 60, 70,000 in the G League. I know they're not giving him a ton. But yeah, I just wanted to, I definitely want to hear your thoughts more. So you might know a little bit more about this than I do. So I want to hear your thoughts on, like, with the G League and how that impacts a lot of high school kids.
Yeah. Well, I would say, we and you've definitely been watching basketball long enough where we remember the kids coming out of high school.
Yep.
The ones that worked, the LeBron James, the Mari Stoudemires, on to the ones who didn't work. So I think we've seen them both sides. But I think it's absolutely absurd for the NBA to make a rule that they can't come out of high school and it's really to protect the teams from taking players that they, that were not working out.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're turning around and blaming the NCAA, who definitely are at fault for different reasons, but they're blaming the NCAA for like it's the NCAA rule, when really it's the league's ruling on why they can't come into the league. And
Yeah.
then 10, 12 years later, they open up an avenue where the good players from high school can go and play in a lesser version of the NBA on a non-guaranteed cheap contract. And then they're the good guys. So that literally, that's some, that's playing chess if I've ever seen it. You
Yeah.
create the issue and then, or you're causing an issue, and then years later you turn around and become the hero for solving it.
Yep.
And so, I just don't agree with it. I took a screenshot earlier, of the 2020 first pick through 15 pick salaries.
Yep.
And so that ranges from, it was like from 8 million down to like 2 or 3 million guaranteed per year, from first pick down to 8. And the highest G League player got paid this year was 500,000. And that was one of these high school kids.
That's crazy.
So,
Probably that Jalen Green kid.
So just off that, he's lost out on, if he was the 15th pick in the last year's draft, he lost out on $2.5 million.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So then that's not saying he wouldn't have been a first pick, second pick, third pick, and then you could range anywhere from upwards of 8 million.
Yep.
So I think, I just don't agree with it. It happens in almost no other sports. You can go pro in tennis at 14. You can go pro in golf at 14, 15, skateboarding. And you pretty much name it.
Baseball.
Yep. Baseball.
Yeah.
You drop out of high school and go to baseball.
Yeah. The only one it's ever made sense was football, because kids' bodies need a little bit more time to develop. I can't think, there might have been 1 or 2 kids in the last 10 years that probably could have went straight to the league for football.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I would agree with you on that, but they're not. But I think everybody kind of has that understanding that won't be able to happen.
Right. Yeah.
But
100%.
even still, then and there, their rule messes people up, where you have to come back for another year when you don't really want to. If you're one of them kids that has 2-3 whole seasons under your belt, but you're only a sophomore or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Where I can't think of the times, but there's certain circumstances where players have to come back and play another year before they was eligible. In football, it's like a 3-year rule thing, I think.
Yeah, you have a junior. You can be like a junior or like a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah,
you got to be 3 years removed from high school.
Yeah, but there's plenty of guys that are forced to come back.
Yeah,
that probably could get drafted after that second season.
Mm-hmm.
So even still, those are the circumstances where you're
seeing them now. They're not playing. They're they're skipping the bowl game. I mean, they're
and even in basketball, to try to get back on track. Even in basketball, the kid from Duke this year, he decided to give it up midway through the season. And I think they see the where it's headed, and where it's headed are people are going to take the LaMelo Ball route. People are going to take the Brandon Jennings route more frequently, and they have to try and find a way to open up something, or mass of these kids are going to start going to other leagues to get paid.
Yep.
I think so.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think I feel like I kind of call. I don't know a ton about the G League, but I mean, to me, it's always kind of looked like a Band-Aid almost. Mm-hmm. Like it's like you could just fix all these problems with one thing. And even back to like kids coming out of high school, like when we growing up, we saw a lot of kids. There are a lot of players that are like very successful. Like Lou Will still playing. Amir Johnson. I mean, he played for the Pistons. A few years back when they were solid. Played for Toronto.
I know I said some false shit last episode, but Amir Johnson really was the last high school player ever drafted.
Was he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's quite a few, like Monte Ellis. I feel like he might have been a little bit later pick. He could have been, but I don't know. I mean, it just kind of took a lot of guys just kind of get going. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you can name more guys that made it shake more than guys that just didn't pan out at all. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some guys that definitely exceeded expectations. That is a pretty big jump, but I don't think them going to college for 4 years would have made it any better for them.
No.
They just would have been, in college, not able to make no money for a little bit longer, which is not good. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole, I just think
Agreed.
The NBA, they just need to kind of just get rid of like making them go to like the G League or being like 1 year removed from high school. It literally makes zero sense. I mean, especially because like you got like a lot of these kids that are like reclassified anyways, so they're like staying an extra year, almost kind of like put himself in a better situation to be of age. I mean, I think that's something that like it might be kind of goofy to people, you know what I'm saying? But like that's also, I mean, that might be where the NBA is like, all right, well, if you're going, take some more time in high school, like they're obviously kind of trying to do what they can to level the playing field anyways.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
say the NBA knows that the new crop of younger kids see that there are other avenues. They
yeah,
see how much money these colleges are making off of them and the shoe deals, and it's hard to tell a kid they're not like us, where you could be um, from our generation, where you might know somebody from across the state or locally. There's kids with millions of followers in high school,
yeah,
that they're probably already they know they could already go get a brand deal with their 2 million followers in high school. They know they could already leverage that to go get current money today. With
yep.
and so it's kind of hard to tell a kid, hey, now go to school for free, make sure you keep your grades up, all because you're going to do this anyway. You're going to go to the league anyway. So it's very hard to try to paint that picture to somebody when they can access it all to them. They can do whatever they wanted to. Really, they have
Mm-hmm.
access to all of their fans, all of their more or less customers, people that
Yep.
And so I think people mindsets are beginning to change about their own selves and being an athlete.
They
And
understand how much they're worth.
right,
Yeah, I mean, if you a 5-star shooting guard, number one in the country, you know,
I mean Zion went to college, but how many followers do you think Zion had in high school? I mean, we've been watching that kid dunk on people for
he easily had
for
like
4 years before we knew who before he got.
probably over 1 million. I mean, I'd be kind of curious to see what he has now because yeah, coming out of high school, I'm sure he touched right around 1 million. But yeah, I mean, these kids like this is new age. That social media, man. You dunk on a couple kids and put together a string of nice games, and start to really get consistent with it. Got 5 million followers, so he probably had right around 1 million
He,
once he graduated. So um
yeah,
so yeah, but
yeah,
yeah, that's something that we hope to see. The kind of like get rid of that rule to where they gotta go to school for a year, be 1 year removed from high school. I think kids train and understand like what it takes nowadays too. So I feel like you'd see a lot more be pretty successful. More probably the percentages might be better than they were in the past. Because kids, I mean, they got that work ethic and they know they can do something, be something. Like they got the resources more than we did back in the day.
I agree. And I would say drafting a player that works or not works is all part of the gamble. And
Yep.
and and you can't remove that element from the NBA team because I mean the players are going to find a way to get paid. So it's all a gamble. And that's kind of your due diligence you have to do. Make sure you're getting the right scouting for the draft. Make sure you're kind of getting all your ducks in line. And because even when they do all that, they make the wrong pick. So I would say they you can't protect them from that. And all what they're ultimately doing is just costing players time, money, and making them go through different hoops that they normally wouldn't have to. And
Right.
I think it's kind of perfect transition into the NBA draft lottery.
Yep.
A little bit about just a brief topic on that. That'd be today's the 21st of June. Tomorrow will be the 22nd. I know we're both rooting for the Pistons to go ahead and get the first pick finally. I swear we won't Darko it up this time. But
Well,
yeah,
we have a say in that.
we don't take a Darko this time, and that's when it'll work out. That's our luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I just think I kind of want to talk about that for a brief moment. I know a bunch of these first round of G League high school players are coming out. I'll be interested to see whether they get quote unquote punished a little bit because people didn't really see them, or whether the NBA teams themselves would honor it more because there were some of their own guys training them.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see if they jump ahead of some of them. Jalen Suggs or Cade Cunningham's guys that we've seen throughout the tournament
Hmm.
versus somebody who was playing in somewhere out in Grand Rapids Drive or something that we never seen. And
Yeah.
yeah, so uh, I'm kind of excited for it. Rooting for the
I am
Pistons,
too.
and just it's always an exciting time in general, just to
Yeah.
kind of see how dominoes will fall.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I was gonna try to pull up. I saw like a new top 50 board. I think I did see in that top 50 probably like three or four like G League guys. I think the highest ranked one, I think his name is like Jalen Green.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I think I saw a couple of the boards. I mean, he's been like top 5, top 10 for quite a few weeks now. So, yeah, I agree with you. It'd be kind of interesting because, like, obviously we don't know a ton of them. They didn't really get a lot of airtime. I know they did have a little bubble for a few weeks back. I think it was kind of like um, February, March timeframe. I feel like it was like right around the tournament for some reason. But um, yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like, you know, where I see with the Pistons, I feel like they can really got a lot of options. It's gonna be interesting to see. I hope that they keep all those young players that they just showed out so well. I mean, I think the one, the two, and the 5 or the 4, 5 is I'd say the 5. Isaiah Stewart. I think he's a center. I would say those. Hell, I'd even say the 1, 2, 3, and 5 are in good hands. At least, I think there's guys we can definitely, should keep around. Um, I'm a pretty big Evan Mobley fan. He showed me what he can do. He just reminds me, he looks like a baby Chris Bosh. So I think that would be just kind of depending where we're at. Um, I know we're not getting the first pick. I hope we can at least get a top 4, top 5. I think that could be somebody that potentially could, fall in our laps if we do end up getting a pick that high.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of want to go with best of, like, I'm hoping we get the highest pick, obviously, like a first or a
Mm-hmm.
second, but which would help with my personal plan with that. But I would say, let's say we do end up with the first or second, I would want to go with best available player versus need. And I think one of the best available players is probably Cape Cunningham or Jalen Rose or Jalen
Thugs.
Suggs. And so I would say one of those two guys probably is the best player period.
Mm-hmm.
So if you roll out with one of those two guys, I don't know. I just like our chances better. And then I think you could figure it out from there.
Yeah.
Because if you have three great point guards, you'll figure that out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what my thought process on that. I do like Evan Mobley. Obviously, I picked him to go farther in the tournament. He was a defensive beast.
Mm-hmm.
Protect the rim. My thing with him would be, could you really develop an offensive game quick enough to be, that's worthy of a first, second, third, fourth pick.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I like that Isaiah Todd. He was going to commit to Michigan. I've seen whole games of him, just watching him when he was a Michigan recruit. Just watched like a few things on YouTube
Yeah.
like a year and a half ago now. I really do like everything I've seen with him. I've seen how the Michigan team ran this year. I believe if he would have been in our system with the type of year we had and what I've seen, he probably would be sitting there around the top 10 pick right now.
Yeah.
So
And
I would,
he probably would have got a lot of the minutes that Brandon Johns got
yep, yeah,
after
exactly.
Isaiah got hurt.
So I
No
just,
offense to Brandon Johns, but
yeah, I agree. And I think somewhere around that, if he would have been in our system, I think that just goes back to show we said, will they get punished for going to the G League, or will the NBA teams who have better eyes on them versus
yeah.
casual fans see what the work they put in and how, so that's a really interesting thing to me. See if those players are drafted higher because they've been scouted much more thoroughly than some of these college players or not.
Right.
But I would like to look at somebody like that for the Pistons. And but I'm kind of rooting for the best. I really hope I did a NBA tankathon thing on Google today, and they had the Pelicans with the second pick, and I couldn't stomach seeing something like that.
It'd be crazy.
With just the NBA trying to feed them to get into the playoffs. So I'm hoping at least the bad teams or deserving teams get the higher picks. Some teams that have been in the trenches a little longer and haven't
Right.
had some of the luck of the quote unquote draw that they do.
Yeah, and I think they're definitely due for at least a top 3, top 5 pick. On the record, I mean, they should, get in there. And last year, this GM, Troy Weaver, was very active. I'm expecting more of the same this year round. Was able to find his way to getting, I think, was able to get another first round pick. They already had 2. I think he has I gotta look and see what other kind of picks they have. But I think as far as like second round and such too. But he's got some young pieces. I hope he holds on to them.
Sure. I mean, we hit on 2 of the 3 last year. So
Right.
if you can hit on 2 of the 3 again this year,
And we might have
especially
did.
if one of
We
those
might have went
happens,
3-3. We
yeah,
might have went 3-3 last year in due
true.
time.
This is
But
true.
yeah,
But we for sure was 2 of 3.
yeah,
And if we could do that again this year with one of those 2 being a top 5 pick, we on the upward swing for sure.
yeah.
And I feel pretty good about that as a Pistons fan. Yeah, and I think we got Ben Wallace. Maybe he could dust off some of that good old 4 Piston luck, and
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, I just kind of feel good about it. But it'd be exciting to see how that pans out. Um, we're in the mix of the playoffs, and then the draft is coming up shortly after that. So it's all kind of ever changing as far as the NBA goes.
Yeah, we gotta try to get to the LCA at least later this year, early next year.
I'm 100% down.
Yeah, I ain't been yet. Have you been?
Yeah, I
Okay.
seen I seen the Pistons and Giannis 2 times, like 2 years ago, and
I forget it's been around that long.
yeah, I think, and then I want to say I seen the Bulls or somebody else, but
Okay.
we lost all 3 games. But
Yeah. They've been doing a lot of that last few years. So
yeah, no, the stadium's cool though. Just a side note, stadium is legit right downtown.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
once they get a good team in there, it'll be rocking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's all we got this week, guys. We'll be back in with you. Gonna have some great basketball next couple days. You said earlier, NBA lottery. So we'll definitely check back in with you when we figure out what that pick is. Let you guys know who we think. They should take with that pick, and we'll be back with you soon. All
Yes, sir. Peace.
right, till next time. Yep.